Hare Krishna, everyone, and welcome back once again to our ever ongoing lectures on the glories of Śrī Vrindavan Dham. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nivishesha Shunyavade Pastacha Deshatarane. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we are continuing with our series on Stimulation for Ecstatic Love, and this will be part 155, in which we will continue to discuss the various disguises Radha and Krishna use in their transcendental pastimes. In this episode, Krishna cleverly disguises himself as what? An artist. An artist. In his list of Krishna's disguises in Gopal Champu, Srila Jiva Goswami mentions Krishna assuming this particular disguise of an artist. It's in the first Champu of Gopal Champu, 29th Purana, it's verse 93. He writes, When Krishna came as a girl artist, Radha said, "O Gopi friend, this dark girl is an artist. In a secluded place, she showed me a colorful picture of a girl just like me, standing next to a peerlessly handsome boy." And we'll see how that unfolds later on. Now, in Sanskrit, art is called, or can be called, kala, K-A-L-A, or literally the performance of art, such as singing, dancing, writing, painting, or it's described even debating. It's an art. And what's really interesting is that amongst the innumerable names of Krishna, one is Sarva Kala Paripurna. Sarva, we hear the word, Sarva Kala Paripurna, which means one who is the abode of all art forms. Another name we can meditate on. Sarva Kala Paripurna, one who is the abode of all art forms. That's Krishna. In February 1973, I was reading, Srila Prabhupada was invited to speak at an art gallery. Interesting, at an art gallery in Auckland, New Zealand. And there, he invited his listeners to contemplate the works of the supreme artist, Sri Krishna. He said, "The rose is created out of the energies of the Supreme Lord. But these energies are so subtle and so artistic that a nice flower can bloom overnight. That a nice flower can bloom overnight." So, Prabhupada concluded, Krishna is the greatest artist. Now the famous Brajabasi poet, Vrindavan Das, he writes, "The art of pastimes," he begins, "the art of pastimes preside over the land of Vrindavan. The forest grove of Vrindavan is like a painting in a royal palace. The cows, Govardhan Mountain, and the milky waters of Manasi Ganga are all artistically decorating the Vrindavan forest. Roaming in the dust of Vrindavan is a greater boon than even roaming in the heavenly planets. Vrindavan Das offers his respects to the forest of Vrindavan, which is a piece of art painted and maintained by Srimati Radharani herself." Hare Krishna. Now the pastime in Gopal Champu by Jiva Goswami, wherein Krishna disguises himself as a female painter, is elaborated on by the Vaishnava poet Kumbhan Das. Kumbhan Das. We quoted him several times in the years before. But before he begins to describe the pastime, he glorifies his spiritual master. So nice. As follows. He writes, "Worship the lotus feet of the Guru, who is the embodiment of bliss, and who grants permission to reside near Rasika Acharyas. Glories to the words manifested from the Guru's lotus mouth, which alone are able to save one from the whirlpool of the illusory energy. Without service to one's guru, one cannot develop the taste for Krishna's names. I offer my respects to the guru who allows one to glance at the pastimes of Govardhan Dhari Krishna. Wow. So he continues. He tells the pastime now. He addresses all of us. Oh, brother. It's so sweet. He addresses us all. Oh, brother, one day the moon-like face of Śrī Rādhā was eclipsed with social rules. The moon-like face of Śrī Rādhā was eclipsed with social rules. She was sitting in her chambers, in her palace, under the surveillance of her in-laws. Her heart was shivering from the coldness of separation, and her limbs were craving association with Shyam Sundar. So at one point, he describes, Lalita came to see Śrī Rādhā, and she said, "O Pyari," I love that name, Pyari, it means dear one. "O Pyari, the crown jewel of all gopis, why does your glowing golden face look like a piece of tarnished copper? What is bothering you?" So Śrī Rādhā placed her head on Lalita's shoulder and she said, "O the knower of my heart's desires, I cannot hide anything from you. The separation from Krishna is fading the radiance of my face. Without Krishna's darshan, my life feels like a day without Surya, the sun. Every breath from me feels like a curse put upon my body. The pores on my skin feel like scorpion bites, and these soft silken robes of mine feel like the bites of venomous serpents. O Lalita, do you know any herb to cure this disease of mine?" So Lalita replied, "O Śrī Rādhā, the only cure for this disease is Shri Krishna's names." Wow. O Śrī Rādhā, Radhe, the only cure from this disease, or for this disease, is Krishna's names. So Śrī Rādhā agreed. She said, "Indeed, do not delay, Lalita, and sing with me Shri Krishna's names." Then Lalita and all of Śrī Rādha's maidservants, along with their sakis, started kirtan in Śrī Rādha's quarters, singing, "Mukunda Madhava Chitta Chora Vamsidhara Gopala Manohara." Wow. Mukunda Madhava Chitta Chora Vamsidhara Gopala Manohara. And every single pore of Śrī Rādha's transcendental body was chanting Krishna's names, the poet describes. Tears were flowing from her lotus eyes like waterfalls from the cliffs of the Himalayas. Wow. When her body started to regain her usual golden radiance, her mind became fixed on the threefold bending form of Sri Krishna. And as the sounds of his names being sung reached Krishna's ears, who, by Purnamasi's arrangement, at that time was playing in the forest with his cowherd friends, Krishna's heart became restless, hearing this call of the gopis. Gopis are engaged in kirtan. The poet describes it as a call to Krishna. His heart became restless, hearing this kirtan, this call of the gopis. So he created a ruse, and he immediately ran away from the pasturing grounds, leaving his cows behind with the gopas. Now when Krishna reached the stairs leading to the palace, and eventually into her chambers, he realized that her in-laws might be there at that time of the day, guarding her as they often do. So he secretly came into the palace somehow or other, and he began searching frantically around the palace, and eventually came to one room where he found what? A sari of Jatila, Radharani's mother-in-law. He's actually looking for a disguise. So he came to one room, and there's a sari of Jatila, so an amazing disguise, and he puts it on. And he made his way to Radha's chamber. Now, when he arrived there, seeing this now beautiful dark-skinned gopi wearing a white silken sari, Jatila stopped this gopi and said, "We haven't seen you before. Who are you?" So Krishna, with the beautiful feminine voice, he said, "I am Rangeli Saki." Rangeli Saki, beautiful name. A very famous painter. I have been sent here by King Vrishabhanu to bring a beautiful painting for his daughter, Śrī Rādhā. So Jatila looked at this new gopi it's described suspiciously, and said, "Now wait a minute, is that my sari you're wearing?" So Rangeli Saki replied, "Of course not. Why do you think so? Do you think that such a sari is so rare that only you can own it, or own one? Please do not waste my time anymore. I've come to see your daughter-in-law." Now the poet describes, hearing such a bold answer, Jatila showed this painter gopi the way to Radharani's chambers. And covering his head with a sari and hiding this painting that he was carrying, Krishna, disguised as Rangeli Saki, entered Śrī Rādhā's chamber. He made it again. And there, the poet describes, he heard musical sounds played on different instruments, forming a melody to accompany the slow singing of his names, the kirtan. He describes that Śrī Rādhā's chambers were filled with dewy, fragrant air mixed with chanting of the holy names of Krishna. In your mind's eye. Dewy, fragrant air mixed with chanting, the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. So the gopis were all having kirtan, and in the middle of it all sat Śrī Rādhā, whose face was glowing like the morning sun as tears flowed like streams down her cheeks. And as the sounds of disguised Krishna's ankle bells disturbed the music and Śrī Rādhā's meditation, she opened her eyes and saw Rangeli Saki standing there with a painting in her arms, immersed in hearing his own sweet holy names. So, seeing this beautiful gopi, there's something about her that Śrī Rādhā's throat became choked with rasa, and this made her efforts to speak useless. So Lalita had to speak on her behalf. Lalita addressed this new gopi, "O young gopi, who are you? You disturbed us while we were worshipping the God of love, by kirtan. When we were reaching the stage of the approaching meeting, sambhog, you disturbed our meditation. What is the reason you have come here?" In other words, they were chanting to remember Krishna, to come close to Krishna. So Rangeli Saki said, "Well, please forgive me, but I have been sent here by King Vrishabhanu. My name is Rangeli Saki, and I'm an artist. I paint the sun, I paint the moon, I paint trees, I paint flowers, and I paint demigods. And I have a painting that I would like to present to Śrī Rādhā." So Lalita said, "This is not a good time for such things. We're having our session, chanting, kirtan. Please come again later." But Rangeli Saki protested. She said, "No, it's very important. You see, my art is magical. And if your queen does not look at the picture, the painting very soon, the colors will fly away to the sky. The colors that I used for this painting have been mixed with camphor and other herbs. Thus they look magical. And when one looks upon a picture painted with such colors, all their diseases, all their worries, even untold ones, will be cured." Wow. So hearing this, because everyone wants, Radharani's in great despair, so the gopis wanted to calm down. So hearing this, Lalita allowed this gopi to give the painting to Śrī Rādhā. Now, when Śrī Rādhā looked at this beautiful painting, she saw that the banks of the Jamuna in the painting were filled with silver white crystal dust, with the trees and dense forest in the background, and the full moon in the sky. And in the middle of it all, she saw herself, holding a lamp in her hand and waiting for Krishna. And looking at the painting more attentively, Śrī Rādhā noticed that there was a painted figure who looked almost hidden in the forest grove. And looking at it even more closely, she saw that it was a dark-complexioned gopi standing there. A dark-complexioned gopi standing there. And this gopi was wearing a peacock crown and holding Krishna's flute. So thinking it unusual, the painter had painted it like that, Śrī Rādhā said to Lalita, "Oh Lalita, please look at this Saki painted in the picture, this gopi in the picture. She looks like Krishna." So then Radha looked at Rangeli Saki and asked her, "Oh Saki, who is that gopi that you painted hidden in the grove who is wearing Krishna's paraphernalia?" And at that point, Rangeli Saki winked at Śrī Rādhā in response. A hint. Through the winking, she passed on the message, causing Śrī Rādha's eyes to open wide as she exclaimed, "Oh, I see now. It's you, Krishna, my very heart and soul. It's you, Krishna, who are my very heart and soul." By the wink, she understood everything. So then Krishna removed his disguise and, as often happens at the conclusion of these pastimes, he embraced Śrī Rādhā. So moments later, all the Sakis, so enlivened, they took that painting and they hung it up in Radharani's chambers. And they placed the divine couple on a beautiful couch and worshipped them there with auspicious articles. Kumbhan Das says, "The pastimes of the Lord are all unique and beyond anyone's imagination. This Kumbhan Das sacrifices his everything to the playful Lord Shri Giridhari." Hare Krishna. What a wonderful pastime. Gopal Champu, and elaborated on by this fully enlightened poet. Prabhus, today I would like to conclude this short lecture with a nectarian verse by Sri Raghunath Das Goswami from his Stavamala, from volume 4, text 9. It's entitled Abhishta Suchanam. It's actually a conversation between Śrī Rādhā and Saki. So you have to listen carefully. I'm going to summarize it. Śrī Rādhā asks, "Oh my dear friend, who is this girl we have never seen before?" Her Saki replies, "Oh, she appears to be a Braja Gopi." So Radha asks, "From where has she come and why has she come?" Her Saki replies, "She has come from Mathurapura to worship you." Then Śrī Rādhā heard the playful words of another Saki who understood everything. That Saki said, "Radha, now you may enjoy with the incomparable Lord Hari." Radha then understood that this girl was none other than Krishna in disguise, and at once, Raghunath Das Goswami says, she burst into a smile. Always a happy ending in Krishna's pastimes. And our lives as well, if we stick to this straight and narrow path of Krishna consciousness. One day, back home, back to Godhead. Prabhus, thank you so much. As you know, I just enjoy researching the books and taking guidance from senior devotee scholars to present to you these humble lectures. See you next Friday. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki, Brindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagya ki, Nitai Gaur Pimanandi, Jai Jai, Śrī Rādhā, Sharm, glorious to Srila Prabhupada, the revealer of the Dham. Haribol. Thank you.